You're listening to Tusemezane Sasa podcast that is brought to you by Zamara Foundation, a feminist organization working towards reproductive justice. This space is going to be a space where we're going to have life-changing conversations around sex and sexuality and also the struggles of women. We're going to celebrate wins, but we're also going to talk about conversations that are deemed impossible, conversations around how the rise of anti-gender, anti-feminist, anti-nonsense groups that have come together to be able to bash issues around sexual reproductive health and rights. Welcome to this space and join us in this journey of these life-changing conversations. I'm your host, Wamboy Kimani, and together with my other colleagues, I will bring you these conversations with Martha Kombe and Nancy Baraza. Welcome and keep listening and join us.
So buckle up, folks. It might be a little spicy, but we promise you a really exciting journey. Either way, it's going to be a vibe.
In this season, we are bringing you 10 powerful episodes where we'll be talking about feminist twins, feminist struggles, and the fight for sexual reproductive health and rights. In this season, we are going to unpack misinformation and disinformation while amplifying the intergenerational feminist leadership and feminist twins as well. So join us as we make the voices of African women and girls be heard through Tusemezane Sasa podcast. Hello and welcome to Tusemezane Sasa podcast. It's nice to have you back on this episode. My name is Nancy Barasa as usual, and today we are going to delve on feminist movements, and we're going to look at the intergenerational landscape of feminist organizing, feminist movement. And today we are going to focus specifically on Gen Z or Generation Z, which is, we'd like to say we are the latest generation, but we know Alpha will roast us. So Gen Zs are here. We are going to be loud. We're going to be audacious about our feminist thoughts on how the movement has evolved over time and how we can be able to even grow bigger, better, and even stronger as we fight for liberation of women and girls in all their diversities. To do this, we are joined by an amazing guest who is also a Gen Z that is also going to share her perspective and what she thinks this movement looks like, especially for Generation Z and all young people, of course. Millennials, don't feel left out. Some of the things we might be mentioning also apply to you. And yeah, just feel at home. So we're joined by Elvin Tina, who will introduce herself, tell us a bit more about herself, what she does, and then we'll hop onto it.
Thank you very much, Nancy. I'm Oma Elvintina, and I'm itching to say to begin with that every child born from this year is Generation Beta. So we just don't have Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
We have Beta now coming up. Anyway, I'm Oma Elvintina. I'm a feminist journalist, a feminist storyteller, a feminist organizer, and most importantly, the programs lead at Feminist in Kenya.
Fantastic. I'm so happy to have Elvin here because I feel like the way I've done Elvin, beyond just knowing her personally and how she has a deep understanding of the landscape of how we organize as young people and just the broader feminist movement. What connects me to Elvin at core is the fact that she feels deeply the same way I do. She feels deeply the struggles of women and girls. She feels deeply the challenges that women and girls face, and it has shaped who you are in terms of just the way you show up in the movement, the way you show up in the space. You take it really personally in terms of how intentional you are with your work and with programming for girls and young women. And I've seen that, of course, through your work at Feminist in Kenya. But here, before we started, Elvin said that she wants for this to be, a deeply personal conversation, just as she likes personal things. She's the person who, when you see a cup, she'll start thinking, oh, why is this cup here? Everything is deep for Elvin. So she wants, this to be personal. So yeah, we're going to have a deep conversation that is personal and it's exciting. So I'm excited because also, I get to also hear a bit more about her and just how she has grown in the movement. So, Elvin, I think to start this conversation, I would like for us to talk about what it looks like to be a Gen Z, just to start. Like, what does it mean to, be a Generation Z girly in the movement? How does that feel? How does that look like?
I was actually having this conversation today in the morning with a couple of some millennials and older millennials this morning. And I've been working with them on, mainstreaming gender into the National Climate Change Action Plan. And I was the youngest person who was nominated by the PS to be on that team. And so these people, all of them call me Gen Z, right? And to be Gen Z, I think, is to be misunderstood, number one. Because oftentimes the Gen Z aspect is when, for example, in those sessions, when people want to go for lunch, they expect me to be very loud, to be the one to say, oh, we are tired, we want to go for lunch, because that is the assumption, yes, that Gen Zs are very quick to give things up, are very quick to let go of things. They lose focus quickly, which is so wrong, because, I mean, we've been feminists for how long? And we've not lost focus. We are still here working for the movement. We're still empowering girls and young women. So for me, to be Gen Z, number one, is to be misunderstood, really. And particularly a Gen Z who is a feminist, right? Yeah, I feel like I've been misunderstood even before I would speak my mind. The fact that you're a feminist and you're Gen Z, you're socialized in a certain way beyond the workspace, even with people that your family even, right? It's like you, first of all, you're Gen Z. What do you know? And what do you want to tell us if it's not those bad thoughts or misplaced thoughts, right? So for me, I feel gravely misunderstood as a Gen Z and a Gen Z feminist. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I share the same thoughts because also I'm a Gen Z. And for me, I think the experience within the space or the experience within the movement has been really exciting because one, there are instances where you're taken seriously. When you show up for meetings, sometimes you're taken seriously. And I admire that there are people within the movement that have respected me and have respected the work that I do. But still also, there are instances where you can just sense that, it's not so loud. They'll not, or maybe when you're in spaces, no one will tell you that, your opinion will not be taken on board, but you'll just see the way conversations drift. So for instance,
Even on that, I think it's like they engage you on a limited perspective, right? They think that, oh, we're going to talk about AI. You're the Gen Z, come talk about AI. Don't talk about things that were there before, like the things that we did. Talk about the things that are now, that are happening in your era, right? So even in that, we respect the work that you do and would love to engage you. It is a certain scope. They have decided that, you know what, come here and talk about this, this and that. This one, leave it out for someone else who has been doing that for 50 years before you were born. And I think that is a very shallow way of engaging Gen Z. I mean, we have... the engagement, yes, they'll come and say, oh, we know you have brilliant ideas and we want to take on your ideas. But it's also very, we're taking ideas to this certain extent. If we go beyond here, you're pushing it. And I think that's a limited scope. The only other place that I feel like Gen Zs are accepted or engaged meaningfully beyond just being Gen Z is the feminist space, right? And even at my workplace, some of the ideas that I came up with are what was taken up and we're implementing those ideas, which is very rare. Often in very many spaces where they're not feminist because the spaces are not inclusive, you're more likely to, oh, you have wonderful ideas, but we're more likely to go with what so-and-so says because so-and-so has been a women's rights activist for 50 years. When that thing has been done 1,000,001 times, and the impact is much lesser compared to what a Gen Z is bringing on the table, that we have more impact and go the long mile. So, yeah. I
think we can go on and on because, I feel like also I'm itching to, chime in, but still also I want to ensure that we stay guided.
Yeah.
So I think maybe to just add on like what you've said, of course I understand. And there's a lot of, there's diverse things that happen to us within the movement. Some happy, some sad. But we've continued to hold fort. We've continued to stay strong in the movement. And I usually, when I meet young women or when I meet Gen Zs like me within the movement, I get extremely excited because all of us are extremely brilliant in what we bring into the movement, in what we bring into the space. So, and, just, following back, and of course, just looking at the things that are happening right now, with the BBC Mandamano things and things like that, we've seen that young people, Gen Zs, are the ones that were at the center of, ensuring that liberation comes. So I just wanted to, maybe pick your brain around, because you've also mentioned around, tokenistic involvement of Gen Zs around IT or things of AI and things like that. But also, yes, we need to also, I feel like, yes, we need to assert that we are here because of that. And we know about how to leverage digital media to drive positive conversations around sexual reproductive health and rights, that the movement has been, struggling for a long time to ensure that there's a public discourse shift. So when we look at the ways in which Gen Z show up in the movement, what have you seen as the tools that Gen Zs or young people use to ensure that there's liberation for girls and young women in their diversities?
One thing, definitely, we are intersectional. We don't believe that movement or organizing looks one type of way. Yeah. That is one thing that I've seen. Like, we share the same beliefs, we share the same thoughts. We all think that your body is your own and you should make decisions about your body. We are friends. Let's work together. Let's figure out, what are your struggles. I think we are the people who bring everyone on board. We ask, where are the hard of hearing and deaf women? Let's hear their perspectives. Where are the queer people? We want to bring everyone on board. We want to talk about things from a personal perspective, to engage everyone, to get everyone's view on things. I think that is one thing that I love about us, that we leave no one behind. We bring everyone on board. We talk, we ask questions. We are also the people who we do the hard work, and we also tell ourselves, you know what, you need to rest. You need to nurture yourself. You need to care for yourself. And I think that's what makes us amazing. Yeah, we work from both extremes. We do the hard work and we also do the soft work. We do the hard part and then the nurturing. We come together and we care for ourselves and we hold space for each other and we care for each other. And I think that is intersectional. That is being intentional about the work that we do, about the communities that we work with and we work for. And even in organizing for the Mandamano, and significantly for me, for the End Femicide marches that we did last year, it is just to ensure that we are speaking, even when someone is trying to silence us, that we are holding people to account, that we are showing up, that you're organizing at home digitally, right? Because we didn't only march in Nairobi, we marched back at home. I called my mom. I told my mom, you know what, you need to go out. Yeah. And for me to call my mom, I told her that this is something that you've experienced before. You've lost your sister to femicide, and now you have 4 daughters whom are not in your hands anymore. They're out there in the world trying to make a life. So you really need to go out there and take action. And that aspect of us also, which was also the same conversation we were having when we were organizing, Occupy Parliament, that, educate your parents back at home. We need to do civic education, and we need to do it in a language that everyone understands. If your mom understands Luo, go and talk to your mom in Luo. If your grandparent understands Kikuyu, go talk to them in Kikuyu. And in more ways than one, I think that was something that was learned from how we organized the first march that we had last year in January, when we were telling everyone that you need to let people know what femicide is and why they should march, right? So I feel like the most powerful thing that our generation does is to include everyone, to leave no one behind, and to ensure that we are intersectional in all of our interventions.
Yeah. And also I agree with that, because also I've seen the way we have, in our we do not conform to the conventional ways of, programming or organizing. These days, the way we get out is, maybe we do potluck, we come together with food, we come together to just check in on each other without even an agenda. In the past, I think also this will lead me to the next question about how you see the movement, how you see the shift in the movement over time, like from what probably, what you've seen within the movement, or movements that are not within other organizations as well, that are not led by, young people, or are not led by Gen Zs, the way they are working, and what is the fresh way of working that the Gen Zs are bringing on board. Yeah, because also for me, I've seen a bit of change in terms of the way we do our work, the way we program. These days, young people are able to demand for funding that is flexible, to be able to ensure that we can be able to do things different way. It does not have to be, by the book, as long as we're leading to this one goal of liberation of women and girls in all their diversities. Then there should be freedom, there should be autonomy to decide to do work the way that that fits to our own realities, because we know our issues, we know our communities, right? So probably just for you to chime in around that, how you think the movement, how you think the movement has changed over time. Yeah.
I think if there is one thing we can agree on, is whether there is money or not, the feminist work still goes on.
Yeah.
We'll still find out ways of doing the work. We wouldn't leave our sisters out, out dry and hanging because there is no money. We always figure out something. We never leave our sisters out there when they need our support. I think some of the ways that some of the shifts that I've seen is, of course, in the leadership, right? I think we have embraced a co-leadership kind of style, that we don't do the up-down kind of leadership that orders come from above and you implement them. It's the more collaborative kind of leadership that we ask each other, that we take each other's ideas in.
Yeah.
That, your leader can come to you and ask you, Nancy, how do you think, we can do this?
Yeah.
And that has informed a lot the way that we as young women organize, right? That we spearhead the implementation of ideas. We sit down and we say, you know what, we think the best way to engage young people will be through this, and that. And the leadership within the feminist movement is accommodative. They listen and they take up ideas, which is something that maybe the corporate world should should look into. And that shift also has informed the way that feminist movements are fundraising, right? To ensure that the work still goes on, even when the anti-rights movement is gaining ground right now with Trump and all of his bullshit.
Yeah.
And that shift, of course, informs the way that we will organize in the future. And also, digital organizing is one of the biggest shifts that has happened, right? I remember my first interactions with feminist work was when my Dress My Choice was happening. And really at that time, I just thought, we just want to wear mini skirts. Okay. Like, I didn't know much beyond that. I just thought that it's people wanting to wear how they want to dress, and that's it.
Yeah.
But fast forward to 2019, before COVID happened, that's the first time I heard about the total shutdown Kenya. And to me, it was just like, there was a group of women who were angry and they went to the streets to demand for justice, because maybe the challenge with the feminist movement is the lack of documentation, right? And in recent times, I've seen a shift in that feminist movements are documenting their work. So if we were to go online today to look at the work that Zamara has done for the past few years, we are able to see that, Zamara has been doing this for such a long time. So there is definitely a shift in us documenting our work, which I think is very important, that the future generations, Generation Alpha and Beta, can look back to for inspiration, to also inform the work that they do, right? And of course, there is a shift in the way that we fundraise, a shift in the way that we document our work, a shift in the way that we organize, because I believe we are the people who organize digitally. We are the people who go out, send out tweets. We are the people who call out the president personally and tell them, nigga, what the fuck is, oh my God. Okay.
Please proceed.
But you get the point, right? we are shifting, and I think you're doing it for the better. I think that future feminists, the ones that will come after us, will thank us for the work that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I hope that the shift continues to shift on the positive, as much as there is a lot of anti-rights going on around right now, that it will not deter us, that will still hold down the forte and keep the movement going.
Yeah, interesting. And I like what you're mentioning about anti-rights and anti-gender movements. And most of the time when I know we are talking about anti-rights, we just think about sexual reproductive health and rights, which is of course rightfully so, because they've been on our backs for a long time. If whatever it is, whatever initiative we're trying to do, they must come with a counter narrative to just ensure that they dim what it is we're trying to push. But also I've seen also anti-rights move beyond sexual reproductive health and rights, which now I feel now should be a nationwide agenda. For instance, the BBC things. We have now government bloggers who are saying that BBC is causing chaos. And these are people who are anti-rights, if we look at it, because how could you defend a system that is oppressing young people?
I mean, the time they were supposed to call out the BBC, when BBC was reporting us from very shallow-minded perspectives, they were not, they were very quiet. But now it's because the BBC is holding the government to account. They don't want to do that. And also don't realize that the BBC stepped in because the safety and security of the journalists that do that work here is at risk. How many journalists were shot or harmed when they were recording the Maandamano protests? Very many of them, a lot of them were harmed. And a lot of them had, during Maandamano, had to also down their tools because some of them had been injured or hurt in the line of duty.
So it means that it's just the... it's broad, it's beyond sexual reproductive health and rights.
It is beyond SRHR. It's even beyond, what the narrative they're trying to push, that these are white people and whatever. I mean, there is that aspect, but in this aspect, they came in because the safety of our people, our brothers and our sisters, who are the fourth estate, could not.
And it's just double-sided. I think I'll just drift a bit, but I'll try to keep it short so that we move on to the next question. When you look at, conversations now around colonialism are now coming up when it's favoring one particular side. When for a long time we've been speaking about colonialism and how it has affected the way it has affected our African families, it has affected our African cultures. It has affected, how young women can be able to show up within the system that has been created to just limit their emancipation. So when you're looking at neocolonialism, or we're looking at colonialism and capitalist systems from lenses that things like, for instance, religion and how it is it is a Western agenda. When you're trying to talk about that, it's not an issue. But now when it's about the government, then now it becomes, now we can have conversations around British and the Western and be Westerners, funding BBC and things like that. This is just to show that we're within a system that only favors the powerful.
And I mean, the system will always retaliate, right? Because I really think that the people who are within the system, who the system works for them, will always do everything and anything to ensure that the system continues to oppress you. Because the meeting I was telling you about earlier, there was this man who works for the government, and I would love to... Okay, I will not do that. But this particular person, when we're having this conversation, we're talking, essentially what we're doing is to mainstream gender into climate change action in the nation, and to also ensure that other marginalized groups are captured, in the action plan. And this person said that, women are marginalized. And we told this person that we currently compose more than 50% of the population of this country. We are not marginalized, okay? We are here because we are trying to correct the mistakes that you did with the first draft that you worked on. And we were having a full-blown conversation about, why women are not marginalized, but there are other marginalized communities that we should focus on. And this person told us, but the Constitution considers you marginalized, the Kenyan Constitution of 2010. And I realized that, this person is ensuring that the system continues to oppress us, because he kept on referring to go and argue with the Constitution. Yeah. I mean, it ended up with a bit of curse words here and there.
Yeah.
But the message got home. It's the fact that people who work for the system, wherever they are, you know, they will always try to ensure that the system continues to operate in a way that favors them and oppresses women. Because to him, as long as the Constitution says that you're marginalized, regardless of the fact that that is not our reality right now, he will use the Constitution to say you're marginalized and therefore we need to. Yeah, but anyway, I'll tell you the story later, but yeah.
And I hear you, and I hear your passion, because system is designed to favor a certain group of people. But then just to come back to, you know, the movement, the feminist movement, what do you see as, you know, opportunities for us to carry? I know it's a lot, it's a heavy word to say, carry the movement. Because of course we are the now, we are the future as well. But I feel like there's responsibility on us to be able to shed light or to touch the future of what this movement looks like, because we are growing into a space where we will be, you know, leaders, feminist leaders, and we will shape the course of how programming around feminism and feminist work is. And also, just when I'm saying this, I'm also thinking that, you know, the movement that we exist in right now is, you know, is as is now, but it's bound to change in the next few years. So of course, I just wanted to hear your opinion. Not that, you know, it's you don't have, you know, monotony of knowledge in that, but, you know, in your opinion, what do you think? What do you think are the structures we can start to put in place right now as young women, so that we are able to shape the future of what the feminist movement look like in terms of collective care, self-care within the movement and things like that. If we're thinking beyond that, what are the other things we can be able to infuse in the movement?
Nancy, I don't think if you're talking about sustaining the movement, we can think beyond wellness and care. I think centering feminist wellness should be one of the, like a priority way of ensuring that the feminist movement in the future years, when we, get to leadership positions, is ensuring that our wellness is front and center of the work that we do. Because you remember that we constantly always have to be, on. We have to be online to fight with the patriarchy, right? We suffer from burnout. We suffer from trolling, doxing. The fact that we organize digitally does not mean that it doesn't mean that we are free from the challenges that the feminists before us faced, right? And the fact that it is so easy for someone to send out a tweet that is harmful, for someone to share information about where you live, or personal information that could potentially cause harm to you, does not mean that we are safer from harm. No. I really think that our wellness, now and in the future is what is critical. Because if you're not okay, if you're not healthy, then we'll not be able to hold the movement forward in the next 10 years, Nancy.
Absolutely.
We really have to center our wellness and to build structures around that, to know, when is a great time to unwind. Because, like it or not, burnout is going to happen. Trolling is going to happen, and it's going to be continuous, and it's going to evolve. And toxic masculinity online is, and the
misogynist.
It's going to go on and on, and it's going to get bolder when we don't care for ourselves. Because if every day we decide that, there is something happening and we need to go on and speak for ourselves, the anti-rights people are very strong. And they're very organized, and they're going to make sure that they ban us out. They're going to do everything. So I don't think if we don't center wellness, the feminist movement will have leaders in the next few years. we have to be very intentional about it, and maybe we should be thinking around how to make feminist wellness core to the work that we do.
Of feminist
Yeah, because that is the only way to ensure that in the next 10 years you did not suffer a mental breakdown and decided to leave the scene and say, you know what, I've had enough, let me go home and sleep. Yeah. And it's also that you are often the first responder to violence. People are going to send you very gory images of a woman in Kenya who has been killed or who is undergoing violence, and you're going to interact with these photos, and it's going to take a mental toll on you. And that means that over time, your brain, your mind is going to start suffering, right? And what next if you've not been taking care of your health? It means that you're not going to be in a position to push the movement forward because you're suffering from a lot of emotional pain and damage that you've gone through working for the movement. So we really, really need to center feminist wellness and care in our work and community. I mean, we've done this before. We've had the Feminist Healing Festival, and you saw how very warm and grounding that was for us. So we really need more of that, because the work that we do year in and year out, one healing festival cannot be enough. We really need to center wellness and care and healing in our work, so that in the next 10 years, we are still here to lead the movement. Yeah.
And it's important for us to keep igniting our fires, because most of the time it's like you're from this to this to this to this, and you need to just pause. And then now go back, pause and relax, and then now go on to the next struggle, because until all of us are free, then none of us is free.
Yeah, exactly.
So the work really just needs to continue and move on. So I can say that our time is almost up. This has been interesting, and I feel like we've not exhausted a lot.
We are just getting started. Our time is up.
We are just getting started, but time is almost up. So
we can have a part two.
We can have a part two
for the Nigerian movies
and go for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So if we look at now what the movement looks like now, if you were to give if we were to reflect on now the future of the movement, and as Gen Zs, myself, I believe that we are the backbone of the movement right now. I feel like we have the expertise, we do the work, we do the heavy lifting. We're really good at what we're doing within the movement and within the space, and it can only get better as more of us join the movement. So if we look at the Elvin in the next like 10 years, you'll still be Gen Z, right? Because you don't change. Yes, you don't change. You don't change to millennial. You'll still be Gen Z. So if we look at Elvin in the next 10 years, what would you say is your hope for the movement? How would you like the movement to look like?
My hope for the movement is that there is this song called, I don't know, Then You're a Feminist. And the song was like, if you have a vagina, then you're a feminist, right? My hope is that in the next 10 years, we have really done, me and G and all the younger feminists have really done a great deal of education on feminist political education. That we have really, I don't want to call it undone, but educated people to understand what feminism really is. Yeah. I really think that most of the women I interact with, most of the people I interact with are feminist. Just that the myths around feminism are what make people not want to identify and name that, I'm a feminist. And I think in the next 10 years, I want people to boldly say that I'm a feminist, and that the feminist politics will now go into our legislative spaces, that feminism will be a lived practice for women and girls in this country and beyond.
Yeah.
In 10 years, also, I want to be well-nurtured, well taken care of by myself and my money. And to be well-rested as well, because I know that in the next 10 years, I'll still be doing this very hard work of organizing. And I really want to center myself and care for myself and nurture for myself, so that in those next 10 years, I still have this fire. I still have this desire and passion to work for women and girls, but on a very bigger larger space. And I don't know, to ensure that when girls meet the way we met, and learning about feminism and learning about organizing, that it is from a place of love and happiness and joy, and wanting to go into the world and change the world without having to deal with trolling and burnout and all of that. In the next 10 years, oh my God, I want a feminist political party in Kenya, so that all this nonsense that goes on here, well, at that time, we call the shots as well. And we inform the legal and policy frameworks of this country, and also the social construct of the nation, right? And hopefully in the next 10 years, because there is a lot of pressure for me to get married because I'm 25 right now, that I'll still be called Oma Elvin Tina, and that I'll not change my name. Not changing my name is a political.
You want to be married, right?
Probably yes.
Okay.
Probably. By who? Remains to be seen. I mean, it could be a woman or a man. That, regardless. The next 10 years, personal for me, is to ensure that I still am called Oma Elventina. That is the politics I want. That I don't want to change my name to be identified by a patriarchal marker. That, you know, she now belongs to whoever, and she changed her name.
Yeah, interesting. For me, I think maybe also as a parting shot, for me, what I would want to... one thing, when you ask me to name arrested woman in the movement, I cannot name even one.
Yeah.
Because I do not... It's not an example I want to imitate. Where I'm constantly on the move. I'm constantly on the run. I see how feminist movement, who have held the movement for a long time, are not rested. They're jumping from one issue to another, from, you know, one village to another. They're always supporting sisters. They're always ensuring that the movement stands tall. But if
they decide to rest, it means that something is going to suffer.
So they really are always just, you know, out there doing their best, giving their best. No one takes care of them. So I think in the next 10 years, I'd want to just know, at least, you know, I just want to be amongst feminists who are rested. Who are rested in the struggle, in acknowledging that the struggle is here. It is not, you know, we'd like for it to end, but it's continuous and it's not ending. So if we continue if we continue to do this work, then let's also acknowledge the power of community. Also, would like to see a feminist movement that is accountable to each other. You know, accountability is also a big part of, you know, feminist organizing, where we can hold each other accountable. If we feel like our movement is struggling and we need to call each other out, then it's okay for us to do that in a way that extends love and grace to our sisters and also connects us together. One last thing that I would also love to see from the movement is a movement that celebrates our wins, celebrates even our struggles, knowing that our struggle is different. It is evolving. It is evolving from, you know, what it has been in the past, and now it is not where we want it to be. But our struggle is different now because of the work that has been done. So if we're able to you know, celebrate our wins, celebrate our struggles, celebrate, you know, celebrate our team leads, celebrate the people who do this programmatic work, celebrate our communities in the little tiniest ways, then I feel like we can be able to have a movement that is well nourished and, you know, even ready to take on the you know, more years that are to come. And I also just want to also pass the baton when I'm old, and just let other people lead as well.
I mean, you'll probably still be 30 in the next 10 years, but the aspect
I'll still be 30. What? I'll still be 30, but if at that time I'm able to get
to be a well-rested 30-year-old, right?
And pass the baton to someone who is younger, to generation better or something, or alpha, then it would be nice. And I wish that for all the older feminists, please just try to rest, not learn, because you cannot learn with this movement that is struggling. Just try to rest, try to also just delegate to, you know, young
that you can hold space for them to rest.
Absolutely. We are here to hold space for you guys to rest. So I think, Elvin, I really wish we had more time. I really wish we had more time to just have this conversation, because it's interesting. And there's a lot more that I would want to say. Actually, when I've touched on accountability, I've had a lot of points.
Yeah.
But then when I look at this side, there's bombastic side eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just call it a podcast. But Elvin, from the bottom of my heart, and from Zamara Foundation team, we really, really appreciate your presence and just you sharing authentically from your experience and the things we can be able to do to make the movement better. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the incredible work that you do. You and I know you're the pioneering cohort of Zafli 1. Yes. Moment of
applause. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
And I hope that you can continue this work, that you can continue to empower other young women to continue the feminist political education that we need to do.
Yeah.
And from the bottom of my heart, and from feminists in Kenya, thank you very much for the collaborative work that you continue to do, for the tough feminist work that you continue to do together. And I hope that, this movement thanks us in the future by allowing us to rest, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elvin. Bye-bye. See you in the
listening
next
to
one.
Tusemezane Sasa podcast that is brought to you by Zamara Foundation, a feminist organization working towards reproductive justice. This space is going to be a space where we're going to have life-changing conversations around sex and sexuality and also the struggles of women. We're going to celebrate wins, but we're also going to talk about conversations that are deemed impossible, conversations around how the rise of anti-gender, anti-feminist, anti-nonsense groups that have come together to be able to bash issues around sexual reproductive health and rights. Welcome to this space and join us in this journey of these life-changing conversations. I'm your host, Wamboi Kimani, and together with my other colleagues, I will bring you these conversations with Martha Kombe and Nancy Baraza. Welcome and keep listening and join us.
So buckle up, folks. It might be a little spicy, but we promise you a really exciting journey. Either way, it's going to be a vibe.
In this season, we are bringing you 10 powerful episodes where we'll be talking about feminist twins, feminist struggles, and the fight for sexual reproductive health and rights. In this season, we are going to unpack misinformation and disinformation while amplifying the intergenerational feminist leadership and feminist twins as well. So join us as we make the voices of African women and girls be heard through Tusemezane Sasa podcast.